Let's try and make sense of these crazy markets. Here is your market update for March 4th, 2022. Markets are crazy. There's so much to cover, but there is an area that is actually doing relatively well. Those are value stocks. And so that was the theme for this week. And if you're not familiar with value stocks, it's basically the other side of the aisle of growth stocks, right? So growth stocks, we know, those are companies that are expected to grow year after year, earnings, potentially revenues. People pay a premium for those types of stocks. More of your steady Eddie groups like value stocks and certain sectors we'll get into, they don't have a high PE, okay? They're not expected to grow a lot like growth companies. However, when worlds are unsettled and earnings is not expected to grow, these can be areas that receive a lot of big money buying. So we're going to kind of go into that as we go through this post, but the big money index is starting to go higher. You're like, wait a minute. How's the big money index going higher? The world is like upside down. It's because some of these value stocks are starting to get bought in this crazy environment. And so this was kind of cool. Going since February 15th through now, I wanted to see what sectors were getting bought. And so this is a breakdown of all the buying by sector. Energy was 25% of the buying, right? We know crude is at a multi-year high. That makes sense. Material stocks, right? So you think of gold, companies that sell aluminum, fertilizer, they're doing very well because prices are high, right? Inflation is high. Industrials, okay? Specifically defense companies have been doing very, very well. So listen, we see war with Russia and Ukraine, defense companies obviously are probably going to be doing more business. So let's go ahead and just quickly look at the big money by sector, those three sectors. Energy, as you can imagine, lots and lots of buying. Materials, tons and tons of buying. Now look, obviously these aren't sexy sectors, but it is where the big money is flowing, so there is potential opportunity here. Industrials, definitely more of a mixed bag. So the buying is in those defense names, right? These are companies that aid in the aerospace area, and they build planes and all types of stuff. So now let's go ahead and look at another way to measure value. And you can look at that at the price to earnings ratio, or the PE ratio. So the forward PE for the S&P 500 is right about 19.7. Let's just call it 20. Okay. Now the three subgroups that I'm looking at right now where most of the buying is, in energy, it's in the oil and gas production. So the current PE for that group, and this is all from FactSet, by the way, is 12.9, okay? The next 12 months is supposed to drop to 10. So, I mean, basically, it's at half of what the S&P is, okay? Materials, and this is the metals and minerals area, current PE is 17.5. It's supposed to fall 15.3. And then industrials at aerospace and defense, like I was telling you about, current PE is just over 21, next 12 months, 23. So while that one is a little bit more expensive than the market, the names that are actually highly ranked in our data have a lower PE. And so I went and looked at the top 5 ranked stocks, right? In the energy patch, forward PE is 12, materials, it's 15, and industrials just below the S&P at 19. So listen, this is where the big money is flocking. Let's look at some stock examples. So of course, we're going to go into energy, and this is PDC Energy. Here's that big money chart. You can see this stock has somewhere to be. It's going up because crude is just going a lot higher. CF Industries, this is a fertilizer company. So with Russia, I believe they account for about 20% of the world's fertilizer. So because of all the sanctions and that fertilizer is not going to be getting to the market, you are seeing these companies just go rocket mode, okay? And a lot of these names are certainly extended, so they're not potentially in buy levels right here. Lockheed Martin, right? Big defense contractor, right? So this company, as you can imagine, when war is here, these are the types of companies that the big money is going to be flowing to. So now let's look at the data in real time. By the way, if you like this type of content, make sure to like and subscribe. Look, we're trying to build this YouTube channel. You guys can help with that little bit. So let's go ahead and look at energy, right? Because when I do the blog, we're looking at Wednesday's data. But let's go ahead and look at Thursday, and you can see there was still some buying that happened yesterday, right? Even in that nasty sell-off. And let's go ahead and look at materials, which also saw some noticeable buying. Look at this. Very healthy buying, right? So the whole idea of the big money is that the trends continue, okay? It's not just a one day. They tend to keep happening day after day, and you start to see a little bit of that buying in industrial stocks. So here I want to go in and actually look at these stocks, right? So CF Industries, this is a group that has been literally just on my radar just because of everything that's going on in the fertilizer space. And you can see the name has just been doing very, very well, right? So whenever there's less supply out there, right, because of Russia and everything else that's going on, you can see these companies really start to ramp. And it's not just CF, you can look at some of these other names. This is a name that I've held for a number of years, and it's Nutrien, right? Big Canadian, phosphate company, potash, nitrogen, all that. It's fertilizer, right? These companies are just, the price of fertilizer, like a lot of commodities, are at multi-year highs, all-time highs. And so these companies, right, their margins are going to expand, right? Here's another one. I remember this name years ago. This is Mosaic, right? It's just another fertilizer company. But back in like 07 and 08, look at this. Look at that. This thing was a 10-bagger. Look at this. We haven't even backfilled the signals yet, but literally this stock went from like 15 to like 150 or something. I remember sitting on the trading desk looking at this, and it was just bananas. Now, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen here, but the point is like when energy starts to rally and you start to see these fertilizer companies, I mean, obviously, this isn't going to last forever. Here's another one. This is more of a riskier name. But it's Intrepid Potash. Look, we don't even have any signals on this name, but you can see that it's ripping. The point is whenever commodity prices are really high and fertilizer prices, all this stuff is high, these companies tend to get a lot of big money. There are tons of stocks that are oversold, but there are some value plays that are seeing a lot of big money, which, by the way, if you are interested in oversold names, check out Jason's latest video. This is best oversold ETFs for March. He does so much cool stuff with our data. Looks at like 150 ETFs that he ranks just to find some great opportunities. Check that one out. I'll leave a card for you right there. And then also on Thursday, I'll be looking for some great growth stock opportunities. And believe me, there are tons of them out in this market. So you guys hang in there. Remember, none of this is personalized advice of any kind. I just want to make you a better investor. I'll see you next time.
Yeah.